everyone. This is Doug Davis, broker in charge at Crombie Realty, and here with another Ask Doug and Ask Doug about the settlement changes, the settlement agreement changes to our industry, the real estate industry across the nation, and what the lawsuit and settlement agreement is all about. Well, it probably will be approved as part of the settlement agreement coming up. Preliminarily has been approved, but I think it takes some time into November when they actually sign. But I keep hearing that mid-summer we are to implement the changes, but that's not set in stone. But in any case, it's most likely coming. And I just wanted to go over what the points are. And even though the document is 105 pages, it's just on 4 pages within it that are our guideline as to what we have to do, change, or make sure that we do up and coming. So I'm going to go through, there's just 12 points. So it's actually pretty simple. But the application will be different. So we'll have to do some changes, but here goes. Number 1, the brokerage fee must be negotiable. Well, it's always been negotiable, and it just, that's one of their first points. It must be negotiable. So no brokerage fee can ever say it's set in stone. We're not changing it. This is what it is. It's all negotiable. Number 2, no offers of brokerage fee may be an MLS. Well, that certainly takes away the convenience for the broker and the buyer and seller because it's known and we're assured of it, but now it won't be assured and it will be an unknown, and we'll have to make lots of phone calls to find out what it might be. Number 3, no field in the MLS offering a brokerage fee. There can be no field, that's number 3, offering a brokerage fee. No offers of a brokerage fee, that's number 2, will be an MLS. And there's no requirement of the buyer agent to be a member of NAR or any MLS or any local boards to be able to participate in a sale. And number 5, in a way to try to get around it, that's been prohibited. So no other website showing offerage brokerage fee may be created, except it can be on our own company website. But, you know, if you're going to be representing a buyer and you want to show, say, 6 homes, you're going to have to go to a lot of websites to figure it out, or make lots of phone calls to the listing agent to find out if there is a buyer agent compensation from the seller. Okay. Number 6, all buyers must have a buyer agency agreement before entering any home. Wow, that's really different. A lot of people, when they get started, certainly would like to learn and go to open houses and then, you know, maybe have an agent or two help them, but don't want to get so serious with a contract. That's not going to happen anymore. No buyer. So it's affecting everyone, not just the real estate agent. It's affecting every person in the United States that is a buyer. So number 6A, the buyer on the buyer agency must disclose to the buyer the amount of compensation from any source, whether the buyer's going to pay, the seller's going to pay, or a combination of buyer and seller paying the brokerage fee to the buyer agent. The agency agreement must not be open-ended. It cannot say whatever the seller will pay. It must be exact. So whether it's a flat fee, say $10,000, or It's a percentage, it has to be exact. And number C, brokerage fee may not exceed what was agreed to. So for example, if you agreed with the buyer on the buyer agency agreement to pay, the buyer agrees to pay 3% to the buyer agent and then finds out that there's a bonus from the seller that would be, say, equal to 3.5%, can't have it. Can only get what was agreed to, the lesser amount on the buyer agency agreement. So that's all different. Number 7, no longer can we say free buyer representation. So it seemed like it kind of was free for the buyer because the buyer wasn't paying. They didn't have to pay anything. It was pushed back to the seller, the payment of the buyer agent fee. So it seemed like it was free to the buyer. But if you get paid anything, it really wasn't free. So no longer can anyone, no one in the brokerage community can say it's a free service unless it truly is free and you're not being paid by anyone or in any combination. Okay, number 8, we're almost there. No, must get seller approval to pay buyer agent in writing. So that would be on the listing agreement. Well, we've been doing that for years. Number 9, must disclose the brokerage fee is not set by law and fully negotiable. Well, that was the same as the first one, number 1. And this would be on our forms. We'd have to change our forms to put that information on it. So that would be on the listing and the buyer agency forms. And number 10, the real estate industry must not steer the buyer away from listings where the brokerage fee is low. So for example, if a seller was only paying, say, 1%, but everyone else was paying 3%, then the agent may not show that property to the buyer. They would steer away from that property because the brokerage fee was lower than everyone else. So the real estate industry no longer can do that. However, I see that that's completely going to shift to the buyer now. The buyer is going to want to know what the brokerage fee is going to be so they know how much they're going to pay their agent. So if the seller continues to do what has been normal and pay the buyer agent, then the buyer is most likely going to want to see the listings with the highest outside broker fee. And if you're a VA buyer, for example, and are not allowed by law to pay the brokerage fee, then of course you don't want to see any listings that are 0 or low because you can't pay it. Or maybe you don't have enough cash, so you can't pay it. So the buyer will want to see the listings with the higher brokerage fee being paid by the seller. So see, that's completely shifting to the buyer now. Maybe an unintended consequence, but that's what's going to happen. Number 11, our forms will all need to be fixed to reflect the changes. So that's going to be the listing agreement, the sale contract, and the buyer agency agreement. And it's just to say that it's negotiable. And that's it. That's all 12. Oh, sorry, no, there was 12. Prevent offers of compensation in MLS and allows for buyer compensation as a concession. So we can put that in, say, the remarks in our MLS fields, but the concession can't be stated as that's the brokerage fee to the buyer agent. It's a closing cost for the buyer, and the buyer agent could be paid with some or all of that. So that's it, 12 points. So what's really gonna be a new change for the agents, the real big one is finding out what the compensation is before they go on each appointment. So if you have a half a dozen showings in a day, you're gonna be calling each listing agent, find out what's being paid. So that's a real inefficiency from the way we've had it before, but that's what we're gonna have to do. So we just change. So there you go. All right, so that's it in a nutshell, just 12 things, 4 pages out of the 105 pages. And that's what's coming, although not 100% approved yet, but looks like that's what's gonna happen. Okay, if you're liking my YouTube channel, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up. And if you have any real estate needs, buying, selling, or property management needs, please let me know. And if you have your questions on real estate, uh, please send them in. Okay, till next time. Thanks so much.